Hello and welcome back to the channel. It is Tuesday night and been trying to fit these in every couple of months, and it's weight loss Q&A. And so welcome back to the channel. We get questions that come in all the time, whether it's on social, Insta, Facebook, YouTube. We have so many different weight loss questions that come in for comments or that are direct messaged. And so we always love hearing your comments. We always love hearing your questions. And some of them we type right back, but then others, they're like Q&A worthy. Like I know they're questions that other people have. And so I have these long running lists here of questions that we just get every couple of months. We do one of these weight loss Q&As. And so if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the comments. If we don't get them to them tonight, I will make sure we add them to the list, and we might get to your question in the next one. So without further ado, we're going to get through as many of these as we can in the next 10 to 15 minutes. Don't want to keep this too long, but definitely want to answer. And here's why this is important to me. Because I remember being a weight loss failure. I remember being overweight, and I remember having so many questions. And I would meet people who had lost weight, and I had questions for them. Like, wait, how did this work? Wait, how did that work? And so, like, I don't know. I probably didn't even have the cojones to ask the question, but you did. And so I want to make sure we answer that. So, all right. How do you deal with lack of motivation when it comes to losing weight? That's the first question. And I've gotten this a lot. And so we've probably had 3 or 4 people in just the last month or two that have asked this question. How do you deal with lack of motivation or no motivation when it comes to losing weight? And so here's what I will say. So often people think it's motivation that is what's going to get you started in losing weight. And motivation is never typically we get started because we're inspired. We're inspired by someone else's before and after. We're inspired by a bad picture we saw of us. Like there's something that happens that like jars us or shakes us or wakes us up that has us make a change. And then we expect to just get motivated. And so often I believe that people confuse motivation and inspiration. So we're inspired and then we start. And then we might be motivated for the first day or the first week. And I don't know about you, but as soon as I ate all the right things and drank my water and worked out and I didn't lose 20 pounds my first week, I'm like, well, this sucks. Give me the cheesecake. Like I wanted results so fast. And when they didn't happen this fast, I was like, well, this is dumb. And so here's what I've learned about motivation. Motivation is fleeting. And so often people are waiting on the motivation bug to come bite them. And motivation it always follows commitment. Like the more committed you are, the more motivated you are. And so motivation is waiting on the result. And it's never falling in love with the result. It's falling in love with the work. And if you fall in love with the work, if you learn to love the work, the result will always come. But so often we're chasing the result versus putting in the work. And this is what's wrong. What I believe, one of the things that's wrong with our mentality as a nation in general is we're always chasing the result. And as soon as we don't get the result we expected or the result we wanted in the time we wanted it, we're out of there. We're done with that. And it's such a flawed form of thinking, and it's a recipe to failure. And so what I'm going to tell you is motivation is going to follow your commitment. And the more committed you are, the more motivated you'll be. The more committed you are, the more results you're going to get. And when you see yourself getting results, that's when you're motivated to do more. Like we just walked through our son. He was starting a business, and like he wasn't super motivated to start a business. Like he wanted to do it. His sister had done it. We had this thing coming up and he wanted to be a part of it. But it wasn't until he started seeing his end product and the possibility of he started being committed to starting the business and making the product and ordering all the things and getting it done and getting it packaged. And it was through that he started to get motivated. It wasn't the other way around. The work came first and then the motivation showed up. And it was just like, wow, like this literally happens in so many different areas of our life. And so just do the work. You don't have to love it. You just have to do it. I didn't love working out when I started working out. I didn't love broccoli. I didn't love cauliflower. I didn't love carrots or cucumbers. I just ate them. And eventually I got super duper motivated. So, do the work, the motivation will come. All right. What do you do when you have lost weight and you fall off track and you gain some of the weight back? So we've all been there. We've all been there, right? Where we've gained weight back. We've, whether we've taken time off from the diet, whether we've taken time off from our lifestyle, whether life's got away with us, whatever it is. Here's what I'm going to say. You always have a foundation. And this is what I tell my clients. You know how you lost it, right? Like, you know how you lost the weight. And it's just making a decision that, okay, like I know what it takes to lose it. And it's just making the tough decision, because to lose weight, you've got to be in a calorie deficit. To get back on track, you've got to stop eating the junk and you've got to stop doing the things that you know are not good for you. You've got to stop doing the things that don't line up with your goals, and you've got to start doing the right ones. So it's making the decision, telling people about it, and then doing whatever you can to get yourself in a place of accountability. Because we as humans, we will do more for other people than we will do for ourselves. We will do more to not let others down. We'll let ourselves down in a second. Like, we will break a promise to ourselves. We'll say one thing and do another. Like, this is just the way it rolls. But when we make a commitment and there's accountability involved, there's other people involved, we will actually work harder to not let them down. So I'm going to tell you to get yourself in a position where, here's the thing you don't want to do. You don't want to do the, woe is me, this sucks, how could I do this? Like, you don't just want to look at the problem and spiral downwards focusing on the problem, because that is not going to help you at all. Focus on the solution. Focus on what you can do. Focus on the small things you can change. You've lost weight before. You know how to do it, right? But accountability is key. Accountability is key. All right. How do you handle meal prep on a weekly basis? So it's really funny. We actually, I do this. I get asked this a lot. So for me, on typically Mondays is my meal prep day. So Mondays is kind of the day. I normally am not cooking on Mondays as far as like making a meal. We're normally eating anything that has been left over. So any vegetables, any chicken, any salad stuff, any of the things that need to get eaten up from the previous week that are still in the refrigerator, get eaten on Mondays. All right. So at that point, I kind of take a look at my refrigerator. It's like, okay, the weekend's gone. I get rid of any junk, by the way, any junk that's hung around from the weekend, that gets tossed, put down the garbage disposal, thrown away. So like yesterday morning, I had some chocolate covered strawberries left in the fridge that were a birthday present. And like, they were in the freezer, then they were in the refrigerator, and it was just like they were a gift. And I'm just like, we had unthawed them for the weekend, and they were going in the garbage. Why? Because yesterday was Monday and it was time for everybody to get back on track. So get rid of anything that doesn't align with your goals. And then I start meal prepping. So I figure out what groceries I need, and I put in my grocery order. I either pick it up or have it delivered. And then I meal prep. So I get my celery all together. I get my, I clean it. I get my carrots cut up. I get my cauliflower cut up. I get my chicken prepped, make some quinoa, put that in the fridge. Get make sure I have my lunch meat, my turkey pepperoni, my little pre-measured things of hummus. I make my ranch dip out of the Greek yogurt. So it's prepping all these little things for breakfast and lunches, and making sure that everything's in there to be able to make healthy eating easy. The lettuce is washed, it's cut, it's prepped, it's in the container. So it's literally just getting it out and adding it to the bowl, getting the celery out and the little thing of hummus, getting the carrots out, getting the cucumber out with the little things of ranch. So it's making sure everything is pre-measured, all the junk's cleaned out of my fridge, and this is on a weekly basis. And for me, I do it on Monday. I don't do it over the weekend. I do it on Monday. And then by Tuesday, by Monday afternoon, we're ready to roll. And I've kind of got a good system down now. Like, I know what we're looking for. I know what we want. I know kind of all that kind of stuff. And so that is our system. All right. Next question. How often do you do the show, The Biggest Transformation, and when do you accept applicants? So this is a great question. We do this a couple times a year. 3 times a year to be exact is our current schedule. It doesn't mean it's always going to be that. It's very time intensive. It's meeting with people every single week. Every week we meet every week. So 3 seasons a year, and every season is 6 months long. So the seasons obviously overlap. And our next season we're actually going to have coming up is going to be starting, I believe, mid-September. And that'll be the last season for this year. So we typically start one in January. We typically have a season that starts in May, that started in May, and then we have a season that starts in September. And so after the September season starts, we won't have another one until 2025, which is wild and crazy. And there's always a wait list you can get on for the next season of The Biggest Transformation. If you don't know what that is, it's where I take a very small group of people and they get into this 6-month program where they're literally given a blueprint. They have like this entire binder is all my Biggest Transformation stuff. It's all the things I did to lose 161 pounds in 13 months to go from a size 22 down to a size 2. But it's coupled with accountability. It's coupled with all the things. They're signing a contract that talks about what they're doing, what they're not doing. It's 100% success rate, but it's because of the way the program is set up. And so that only happens 3 times a year. There's only a handful of people I can accept into it just because, you can't do it with 30 people in the program. You just can't. So anyway, that will be applications, that next season, the last season of this year will be coming up very, very soon, starting mid-September. So super duper exciting. All right. Last and final question. I'm looking over these. I always like when it comes to picking the last question because we have so many questions on here. What do you do if your friends, your family, or even your spouse is not supportive and still eats the junk while you're trying to lose weight? I feel like they're just rubbing it in my face and my husband especially. So this is a big one, and this is a real one, and this is one that I think a lot of us struggle with when it comes to weight loss. And here's what I'm going to tell you, okay? So you can get mad at the rest of the world, and you can say they're rude, they're inconsiderate, they are not being honorable, whatever it is. And here's the truth. There's probably a little truth to that. But at the end of the day, they're just thinking about themselves. They're not changing any of the things that they were doing. And you can say, well, it's inconsiderate if they want to eat, candy at 10 o'clock at night and I'm not. You're right. It probably is a little inconsiderate, and probably they aren't thinking of you. They're thinking of them. However, here's the thing. Is it right of us to expect them to do something different because we made a choice to change? That's my question. Is it fair to expect them to change their behavior because we made a decision to get healthier? No, it's not fair at all. It's not fair. It's not nice. It's not, it's just, I'll say it's not fair. Okay. And so you can nag them. You can be mad at them, which is just going to cause extra stress in your life. Or I'm going to give you another alternative, a different perspective. And this is the one that I had to choose to have because at least the first 6 to 9 months that I was losing weight, my husband was like a pro at fourth meal. We would go out to dinner and I would order healthy and he would order not. We would go see a movie and I would have a diet soda and a protein bar, or a diet soda and an apple that I had brought. And he would have a large popcorn with butter and ask me if I wanted some, totally clueless. He wasn't trying to be a dink. He wasn't trying to be inconsiderate. It was just, he was doing what we had always done. And so at first I remember sitting there and I swear there must have been steam coming out of my ears. I'm like, you inconsiderate, da, 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 da. All the things, right? And I was like, wait a minute, Carmen, you changed, not him. He's still doing the behavior he always did. And I can either get upset with him or I can realize that the rest of the world did not get the memo that I was losing weight. And that's okay. That I'm going to have to learn to resist. I'm going to have to learn how to say no. I'm going to have to learn that just because someone else is having something, I'm okay saying no, thank you. And that him doing this is actually making me stronger, faster, right? And so when I chose to have that perspective, every time he would have those things, I was like, that's okay. You're getting fluffier and I'm getting fitter and you're helping my willpower muscle. It was the same thing when my mom would come visit and I'd pick her up from the airport and she'd be like, hey, They're like, do you mind going through the McDonald's drive-thru? Like, are you sure it's okay? And I'm like, it's great. It's fine. I can do it. I can do all things. I can do hard things. Let's go. And then we go through and she gets a meal and, you're trapped with all the windows rolled up with the McDonald's French fry smell in your car. And I would just be like, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. You know that song? Yeah. And I would be like, you know what? I'm getting closer to my goal. The scale is going to flip you off tomorrow. And it was like this little game I'd play in my head, right? I'm like, you're helping my willpower muscle. Go me! And so I would find little wins to celebrate. And I know this sounds so silly and so ridiculous, but I'm telling you, this is what I did. And versus I focused on what I appreciated about it versus what I didn't. Because I can't change it. I can't make everyone not eat junk. I can't make everyone go on, eat healthy just because I am. It's just not practical. It's not life. It's not realistic. And so don't stress. Don't stress about changing what they're doing. Focus on what you can control, and that's what you're putting in your mouth. Focus on what you have control over, and that's your diet and what you're doing. And that's going to be much more satisfying and much more empowering and much more peace-giving than the other. And so anyway, thank you for those of you that wrote questions. I really do love answering these questions. And I really love when I look at your questions, it takes me back because so often all these questions I dealt with, I had to deal with on the road to losing weight. And so if you have any, make sure to type them down below. We will add them to the list. You'll see another one of these weight loss Q&As coming up in the next month or two. So anyway, we will be back next week, same time, same place, with another video. If you have not subscribed yet, make sure to do that. We have healthy recipes here on the channel. We have interviews. We have announcements, like when the next season for the biggest transformation, when applications open. We have interviews from previous clients who have lost a crap ton of weight and kept it off. Clients that, struggled with their weight. Clients that have started when they're pregnant. Clients that started after they popped out a baby. Like from all different walks of life, all different ages. And we want to help you get to your best version of you this year. So thanks for joining us. We will see you next week, same time, same place.